Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your advisor, Kaylee here, and you are tuning in to episode number 184. And today we're going to talk about demonstrating authentic strength as a female entrepreneur. I was really inspired to record this episode as, I walked into my kitchen a couple weeks ago and my husband had written on the little chalkboard sitting on our counter the words, "A rose with thorns." I didn't really pay much attention to it till he asked me about it at one point, a couple days later. And he said, "Did you see what I wrote on the chalkboard?" And I said, "Yeah, I saw what you wrote, a rose with thorns." "Well, what did you mean by that?" And he said, "I think it's an accurate reflection of you." Like whatever that meant, right? He said, I read about it in this chapter of Tim Grover's book, Winning. This is a great book, by the way. If you haven't read it, Tim Grover is a mental conditioning coach for pro athletes and has worked with some of the world's greatest basketball players, such as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. So it's a good sort of mental conditioning experience going through that book. Anyway, he talks in the book about how a rose is beautiful, but a rose that has thorns can be even more beautiful because it will live longer and become more fragrant and, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially, the thorns are developed as a protection mechanism from predators. Be a rose with thorns, he says. Of course, I'm summarizing, but I had a flashback to a vacation I took in Scottsdale quite a few years ago. I was out for a hike and I was admiring the views of the nature and, nestled between some native bushes, I saw the cutest little mini cacti. It was adorable. It was like a little chubby one with perfect green hues. It appeared to be smooth like a baby. So of course I was drawn to it and I brilliantly decided to lean down and wanted to feel it and grab it. And I leaned in using my little baby voice. "Look how cute this is." And I wrapped my entire hand around it. And I know those of you who are listening from a desert location and have these things, you're thinking, what a lunatic is she? But I had no idea. So I wrapped my entire hand around this buttery smooth little baby cactus and injected my hand with about 2,000 baby needles, almost invisible to the naked eye, until they were in my hand. It was so painful. Mind you, I'm about a mile from my hotel and had to walk back with a hand full of barbed spikes, which would need to be removed one by one with tweezers. And of course, they were so little, I really couldn't even find all of them. And I had to golf later that day with what felt like a handful of splinters in my skin. It was lovely. So public service announcement, don't pick up baby cactus. So this whole concept sat with me over the course of a week or so, this sort of idea of a rose with thorns, the dichotomy of beauty and strength, two parts that make the sum of a perfect feminine whole. And it reminded me of conversations, we've had in past episodes related to feminine leadership. So of course I ruminated over the idea of how this was analogous to the multi-faceted nature of successful female entrepreneurs who, like thorned roses, are both admired for their authenticity, yet respected for their strength and power. And for us alpha females, most of us are programmed with a little sweetness and a little spice. But not all of us roses know how to use our thorns properly. In fact, I talk to women on a routine basis who feel like while they're in a position of power, they walk on eggshells around a team member or feel like they are in a constant state of running behind because they can't keep up with the demands of others. Some women tell me that they do virtually everything when they get home from work with very little help. And after a long day of running a company and setting the vision for its future, being a slave to the kids in the kitchen can start to bring up resentment. And some have thorns, but forget to show up as the rose she can be. I remember a few years ago, I was interacting with a business owner who would fly off the handle when she had a dip in revenue, yelling at her team that they all needed to make extra social media posts to, quote unquote, bring in clients when, that wasn't a priority before. And side note, if your goal is to bring in clients, making social media posts reactively is probably not your first priority. Or, when an employee stepped out of line with policy, she would make that mean that it was the end of the world and call me in a frantic, rather than having a meaningful conversation with that employee to help better understand their perspective. In this case, this woman is not using her strength. Rather, she's abdicating her power. Rather than holding her employee to an expectation she has, she instead decides to take a victim role and feel helpless or reactive. So here's the thing. Our thorns, they're not weapons, ladies. They're boundaries. They're our inner strength, our resilience. There's a balance between the soft and the strong we get to bring to work as female leaders. And this is our gift. I'm routinely asked by female leaders, how do I show up as kind and nurturing and create an environment where employees are engaged and have fun at work, but still hold strong to our expectations? And my answer is always to live and breathe by your core values. These are the soil that nourish us. Core values are not just words written on a piece of paper. They're the covenant by which we operate and hire. They guide every decision that is made, every way of doing things in your business. And as a leader, we can't expect our employees to live in alignment with our core values if A, they don't know what they are, or B, we aren't demonstrating them through our actions. What are your core values? Mine are, number 1, challenge ourselves to grow, 2, to go all in, and 3, to have fun. This is the formula for success at KLC. Think of yourself as a resilient rose with thorns. What are your core values? How do you show up every day to embody these values? So here's what I know to be true about a resilient rose kind of leader. Number 1, she understands her own inner strength. She embraces mental tenacity. She taps into her wisdom and experience to combat external pressures and biases. She sees setbacks as catalysts for growth and empowerment. Number 2, she works on her emotional fitness. She is emotionally intelligent, intuitive, and leads with empathy. She uses mindfulness, support systems, and a framework for a life-first business to protect her mental health as an entrepreneur. She doesn't sound the alarm every time there's a challenge. She slows down, allows herself time to think calmly, and approaches the situation with assertive confidence. Number 3, she protects her values. She sets firm, clear boundaries and stays focused on the things that matter to not dilute her energy or resources. She stands up for herself and doesn't tolerate substandard results from others. She has the difficult conversations that need to be communicated. She commands respect through her actions, and she's deliberate and thoughtful in her responses to others. Number 4, she regulates her environment. She knows that there's no such thing as controlling everything and everyone around her. She sets clear expectations and masters her response to her environment and activity within her ecosystem. Others are clear on her expectations. She has a proactive versus reactive mindset and stays rested and open enough to maintain the energy and power to help others navigate through challenges in her business. Number 5, she leads her business interactions. Before engaging in any partnership, deal, or negotiation, she's clear on her own goals. She shows up with a smile, and she's warm and listens and finds a way to help the other person meet their goals within the scope of what's okay and not okay with her. She focuses on establishing respect-based relationships rather than approval-based friendships. See, it's not about being liked. It's about helping others experience the potential for success en route to a common goal. She protects the business integrity without compromise by maintaining standards and expectations. And finally, number 6, she nourishes her roots. She builds her foundation first. She learns and practices what nourishes her emotionally, and psychologically. She won't suppress issues, uncomfortable feelings, or needs in exchange for growth. This, by the way, is a dangerous place many high-achieving women live. They continue to suppress and just grow, suppress and grow, and get to a point in their life where they end up with a deep emptiness at the end of the day. Instead, this leader, she pursues happiness by aligning business goals with personal fulfillment. So many business owners are spinning in the constant goal for growth without doing any real work on deciding how they want to grow, or if growth really is the actual goal altogether. We invest in learning new techniques about new technology, new business strategies, or marketing platforms, all of the how-tos. But what about the investment in the woman who needs to set the vision, create the blueprint, and lead the team to execute on that vision? Where does she belong? We're so busy picking and plucking at a rose without cultivating an environment for it to thrive. An environment where nourishment comes from value-based living, accountability to the things and people that matter, and the willingness to stand for what we believe in. Leader, are you a rose with thorns intact? Or are you flailing around waiting to be plucked? What is your growth strategy? Are you focused on building and leading a real team to run your business? Or are you stuck playing small? Waiting until next week or next month or next year when this or that happens to build in a way that nourishes you, well, does that really work? Occasionally, we have women sign up and pay for our programs and then not show up and do the work. And it's not going to happen for you. You can't throw money at a solution. You need a plan. You need to develop a strategy to get yourself out of the weeds, out of overwhelm, out of doing it all. That is up to you, period. Respectfully, no one's coming to save you, goddess. Regardless of where you are in your business right now, you have a decision to make. You can be a victim of your reality, or you can create the reality you desire. Leader, we're hosting our final session of Confidence to Scale in November, and that is our 6-week business growth certification program. And if you have been waiting to take this program, this will be your last chance, because we will no longer be running this program in its current format in 2024. So if you've been waiting to work, particularly with me directly, this will be the only way to do so from here forward, outside of a 5 to 6 figure investment inside of our academy programming. So if you are a rose who wants to grow your thorns, now is the time to take action. And you can simply apply for the program at klcconsultants.com/scale. And you can always jump on a call with our team to make sure this is the right fit for you. But please don't wait for someone to come nourish you. Make the first move to demonstrate your own authentic strength and set the strategy you need. We're here to help. Okay, leader, chat with you same place, same time next week. Take care. Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working to cross the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.